Good morning, everyone. It's Sarah, and it's time for Coffee and Crochet with Sarah. And I'm in a tropical mood today. I had a little trouble with Instagram this morning. It didn't want to let me do a video on Instagram. You know, I like to do a video on Instagram to kind of give you a heads up that we're getting ready to start our live video. And Instagram didn't want to let me, so I thought, well, I'll just do another one on my phone. So then I try to load it onto Facebook, and it's like, you can't load this onto Facebook. So then I did get it on Facebook, but not, I like to try to do it about 15-20 minutes before we're going to get started. That way you kind of have a heads up. So anyway, it's time for Coffee and Crochet with Sarah. When it comes to electronics, there's always something. So anyway, let's say good morning. I've got my tropical shirt on and my tropical jewelry. And I've got my pineapple cup. And I'm drinking iced coffee. I know it's a shock. I don't normally like iced coffee. But this one brand, it's just Folgers Morning Blend. And the other day, I think my son came in. I said, the coffee's cold. He's like, no problem. He put some ice in it and some milk and he drank it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I like it. I'm not a cold coffee person, but I am now. So everybody, let's go ahead and clink in. Anybody else drinking cold coffee today? I don't mind. It's very tasty. And we had a little snafu because, up here where I live, I kind of live up a little higher altitude, and we haven't had our air conditioner on, and we have enough pine trees and shade that it really isn't an issue that much. Well, it got to be 100 degrees, and so we decided we need to go ahead and hook the air conditioner up, make sure everything's working, because sometimes I'll put it on in the afternoon in the heat of the day just to take off the heat. Well, it didn't work. So we had some guy come out and he said, well, it's going to cost you way too much. And so my son's like, oh, I have a friend that does it. He did it for a third of the price and it's working wonderfully. So anyway, we all have issues, don't we, when it comes to the heat. All right, let's say hello to everybody. I see Karen and Marlene and Stacy, Vicky and Rita, Amanda, Caitlin, Joy Bell. There's Jennifer. Let me move this down. Tina Louise, Christine, Melissa, Cindy, Michelle, Paula, Lisa, Alicia, Amanda. Let's see, make sure I got everybody. Teresa, Lisa, Dawn. Uh-oh, Stacy says she has no AC. And where'd you say you're at today? In North Carolina? Oh, did you say South Carolina? Let me look back up here. North Carolina. It is humid in North Carolina. My mother-in-law is originally from Kingston, I think, South Carolina. And I had only been down there one time, and the humidity was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. It is humid. I'm originally from Oklahoma. Well, I was born in Iowa, but I grew up in Oklahoma, and then we moved back with the kids after we retired from the Air Force. And the humidity is horrible. And I always forget. Up here where I live, we call it the upper desert because it's dry up here. And we do get a little heat, but not like in the south. And oh my goodness, I cannot handle the humidity anymore. I grew up in the humidity. I didn't even know the difference. Now that I've been out of it. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I have to tell you a funny thing. We decided, I used to have a big double sheet hanging on this big window I have over here. You guys haven't seen it. But I told my husband, I said, I want to be able to open that window at times to get some air through here. But I want a thick covering because I don't want any dust getting on my yarn. And so he put in a light, not filtering, but black type shade that you can pull down and push up. Well, because he did that, I had to clean out a little bit of this corner where I have a lot of my yarn that I'm still kind of going through and stuff. Excuse me. I found some amazing yarn that I forgot I had. Some beautiful colors. I'll be showing you some of those in the next couple of weeks. It was so funny though, because I'm really adamant about trying to keep my colors and styles and things like that together. You can tell from my back wall. I do work on it. But I guess I got some on clearance or on sale, and I had put it over in that corner, and I found it again. It's like Christmas when that happens. Do y'all ever stash away a bag of yarn or something? Now, my husband, he never tells me not to buy yarn. Of course, that's part of why I do what I do, is so that I can, like, feed my habit. I love yarn. I love thin, thick, fuzzy. I even love rough yarn, because there's always something that you can make with any kind of yarn. You just got to find the right pattern, right? So anyway, those of you who are just now clinking in, let me see if I see some more of you. Gail, Carol, Cindy, let's see, Carolina, Grace. It's so nice to see you. I say this all the time. I love to see names that I recognize, because I feel like I have such great friends here on Facebook, also on YouTube, and I love seeing those same names come through. But I also love seeing new names, because that means more people are watching and learning all about my yarny fun. All right, so let's do a double clink in. Clink, clink, because I've got my cold coffee and my pineapple mug, and I'm in my tropical shirt and clothes. Not my, I just have on black shorts. I mean, I don't have any special shorts on. All right, let's get to our topic. I've been chatting long enough. Let me grab a little coffee here. All right, now, I get a lot of questions about my 5-chain method. And the 5-chain method, I'm going to demonstrate it to you real quick. If you watch my videos and I do something with a circle in the middle, I almost always use a chain 5 method. Now, sometimes I do the chain 2 or chain 3 and start in the second chain from the hook or something like that, depending on what the pattern is. But when you contrast or compare the 5-chain method and the magic circle, it seems like people either love the magic circle and hate the chain 5 method, or they love the chain 5 method and hate the magic circle. Now, I like both of them. I just prefer the chain 5 method. I've had trouble with the magic circle not staying tight and not staying together. And it's really frustrating to me to work on some big project and my magic circle not hold in the middle. And it's just a preference. And like I always say on my videos, what I say is just my opinion. You have the right to have a different opinion. If you prefer the magic circle, that's totally okay. But I want to show you this and talk to you about it. And so we're going to click down over here to my other camera. And I've got a pair of scissors here. I've got my basic H hook 5mm needle and just some yarn. And this is just a Red Heart Super Saver green yarn. I chose green because it's easy to see. And what I'm talking about when I say the chain 5 method is you start with your slip knot and you chain 5. All right, then you take the tail of your yarn and you hook it over your hook and you pull it through that loop, okay? And then you're just going to snug that down. Move my thumb there so you can see that. And then I do what's called a stay knot. I just loop it through like this so that it's going to hold. All right, so now we have a chain 5 circle, we have our working yarn, and we have our tail of yarn. And so what I do when I'm going to do something where I'm going to work around the circle, let's just say I'm going to put 10 double crochets in this circle. So I go in, I pull up a loop, I'm going to chain 3 because this chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. If I'm going to do half double crochet, I'll chain 2. If I'm going to do a single crochet, I'll just chain 1. But what I do is when I'm stitching around this chain 5, I stitch over this tail of yarn. Yarn over, going to go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2. So I'm doing 9 double crochets because my chain 3 counts as my first one. And you'll see that what I'm doing is as I'm stitching those double crochets, I'm also stitching over that tail of yarn. And the reason is when you do the 5-chain method, you almost always end up with a hole in the middle. So I'm working around doing double crochets or stitching double crochets. Let's see how many I've stitched. Here's my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do 2 more because I said I was going to do 10. All right, so now I have 10 double crochets on that circle. All right, I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch. And the slip stitch is you just go in, you pull up a loop, and then that loop you pull through the loop that's on your hook. I'm going to snug that down and go ahead and make a chain 3. All right, so then what I do is I turn this over and then I gently pull on this tail. And what that does is that closes up that hole. And sometimes you might have to pull on it a little more. Then I'll take my needle. I'll thread that tail on that needle and I'll go around those initial stitches. Then I'll go up and go back the way that I came, and then I'll do it again. And this is going to make it so that it holds nice and tight. Whoops. Throw my hook across the room there. I'll clip that off, and now I've got a closed circle. I've got my 10 double crochets, and that's the chain 5 method. Now, sometimes if I'm making something maybe that's smaller, that maybe only has 6 or 8 stitches, I might make the chain maybe a chain 3 or a chain 4. It just depends on the pattern. When I was learning how to crochet, remember I talked about that book that I had that was written, I think it said 1897 or 1889, I think, or something. A very, very old book that I got at the library. And I ended up being able to download some of it because it's out of print now. But anyway, they didn't have anything in it called the magic circle. They had a page, it was just called, I can't remember, but it had 3 or 4 different ways of starting a circle. And this chain 5 method was in there, and I liked that one the best, and I just sort of stuck with it, and I really like it. Now, any pattern that I do that I start this way, you can always do the magic circle or magic ring. It's called both things. You can use that method if you want to. It's totally fine. And really, it's up to what you like, your preference. But I've gotten a lot of questions about that because a lot of people have never heard of this method before. And that's why I kind of like that book that I had, because it had a lot of really old-fashioned way of doing things. And it's really kind of fun to see that a lot of people are writing patterns and talking about a brand new stitch they learned, and it's in that old book that I've got. And it's not, not that they're taking the stitch or anything. It's just fun. It's just kind of fun to see that, because that tells me that people are getting back into crochet, kind of like we talked about last week, that, that one lady told me crochet was a dying art, and it's not. But it is up to us to keep passing on our art and love of crochet. Alrighty. Anyway, I wanted to discuss that with you. The other thing I wanted to discuss with you is my blog. Now, I'm going to pop back over here. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. I get a lot of questions also about my blog. And here's my blog, and I put the blog link on my Facebook page, and I pinned it to the top. And you should be able to go to my blog just by clicking that link. But if you're worried about not being able to get the blogs, you can't find it, one thing that you can do, I'm going to move this piece of paper. One thing that you can do is down here on this right side is a little box, and I know you can't see it real well. That's why I put on here follow by email. All you have to do is click that link that I put on the top of my Facebook page, and it will take you to the basic blog page, and you can put your email in there and then put submit. And every time I write a new email, that email, write a new blog, that blog will be sent to you. You'll get all the brand new patterns, brand new video links, and any information that I put out there on my blog, because a lot of times I do it that way. And also, every week when I do my live video, I write a corresponding blog. And it has all the links, information about giveaways, information about new patterns, new videos. You'll find all of that on that blog. All right. And so, boy, I've got a dry and scratchy throat today. So anyway, I wanted you to be able to find that. It's super easy. And if you click on today's blog, because I'll post that also, all this information will be on there as well. One thing to remember, when you put your email in there, I don't see your email. I don't get your email. All that happens is it's put in a list. And then when I write a new blog, everybody's email that's on that list, it just gets sent to you. Nobody sees it. It's all done through the computer. I don't see it. Google doesn't see it or any of that stuff. So it's protected, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, but it's a great way to never ever miss out on what's happening at Posh Pooch Designs. So anyway, I know another question I get all the time is, if I'm Posh Pooch Designs, how come I write all kinds of different patterns? And so I've been writing patterns for over 40 years. Very few had been published in the beginning. Some of them were done in like your local newspaper and stuff like that. So I also sent some, when we lived in Germany, I used to send them to Annie's all the time. And you can find some of them in there as well. But they're really, really old patterns and have been updated since then. And so anyway, what I like to try to do is keep everything updated. We're going through a lot of our old patterns using new yarns and updating the patterns. And I've got a lot of fun stuff planned, in the next coming weeks. Once we got past Christmas in July, we're doing a whole lot more fun stuff as well. So I got a few complaints. They're like, you're only doing Christmas right now. I'm like, if you've been following the blog, you'd know we're doing Christmas in July. So see, it keeps you informed, right? All right, well, let's talk about a couple of new patterns that we did this week. And two of them are Christmas because they're from last week. One of them is we updated, and oops, lost my hanger. We updated the mini ugly sweater Christmas party pattern, whatever you want to call it. This is the one from, oops, they're all stuck together. This is the one from last year, this little sparkly one. And this is the one I used this year for my demonstration. Or actually, I should say 2 years ago is when I originally wrote the pattern. And they're lots of fun, but I wanted to tell you, this one is done with an H hook and your medium weight 4 yarn. If you do the pattern exactly the same, let me get a little hanger on here, it comes out just a little bit smaller if you use your G hook and your 3 weight yarn. All right, and the hanger is just made out of a paper clip, and I love doing it this way because then you can just put your little hook on here, you can hang it on your tree. And I had these up for an ugly sweater party, and I had them all strung across the room. And then when we had a party and people won prizes for their ugly sweaters, they got one of these as a prize. And then I ended up giving one to almost everybody because I made a whole bunch of them, and they're super fun to make. So that's something, if you love to have an ugly sweater party, these are super great for prizes and decorating. All right, so we updated this pattern, made sure it had a whole bunch of new pictures on the blog and a brand new video. The other one that we updated is my sweater mug cozy. Pull that up so you don't see the mug underneath there. And this is the one we did a few years ago. And then I went ahead and updated it. I did it with a snow theme. Isn't that cute? And these are super easy to make. And I think these are super fun if you like to have people to come over for coffee around Christmas. And you can make everybody one kind of according to their personality and according to what they like. I mean, if someone likes really bright purple, make one in bright purple. You don't have to make it in Christmas colors. And they're super fun to make, super easy. That has a brand new blog with brand new pictures also, a brand new video. And you can find, every time I do a brand new video, you can find it on my YouTube. And I get questions all the time about how can I find your YouTube videos. When you go to my YouTube, And you can find links all over my blog and Facebook and everything. I have a playlist. And you can just click where it says playlist, and then I have categories. I have like a Christmas category, hats, blankets, patterns for dogs and pets, you know, stuff like that, baby patterns. Those are in categories, and then you can just click that category, and the videos in that category will come up. And then you can just look through there and find what you're looking for. All right, so just a little FYI on that. Okay, now the last pattern I want to talk to you about is this one. Now this is our block or square number 3, and you notice I have 4. And if you're following along our crochet along, it's called the Grantastic Crochet Along for 2019. And what we're doing is each month we're learning a new square. And what we're trying to do is we began with the simplest square. And as we move across, we're adding new stitches and techniques. This one is the front post. And we're adding new stitches and techniques, and we're going to end up making 12 different squares. And each month you need to make at least 4, so you have enough to put them together and a blanket. And then in January, I'll show you how we're going to put it together into a blanket. Now, I don't recommend you go ahead and putting them all together because, or you can if you want to, but what I'm going to do, I'm doing all of mine in the same color, this sort of light teal, Red Heart Super Saver. And then I'm going to mix them all up so that all the different squares are sort of chaotic on my blanket. And then I'll put it all together. That and you can make 4, make at least 4, or you can make more if you want to make a bigger blanket. All right. I think the way we're doing it is we're doing 4, I think 6 across by 8. Yeah, I think so. But I'll have to look again. Now, if you want to know about this, of course, I always put a link up there where you can click on it. But also, when you go to the playlist on YouTube, you can put in Grantastic Crochet Along, and the first 7 videos will be there. And if you want to know the schedule of when the new squares are coming out, if you click on that link, there's going to be 2 separate links underneath that video in the notes section. And the notes section, you either hit where it says see more, or there's a little arrow on one side. Depends on what device you're looking on, whether you're like on an iPad, a computer, or a phone, or even which phone, how the setup is. Okay, but if you click that little arrow or where it says see more, the links will come down in the information. And one of them will say, this is the blog for just this square. Then under that, there'll be another link that says for all the information about the Grantastic Crochet Along. If you click that link, it will take you to that page where I have added all the videos we've done so far and the patterns. And then under that, the ones we haven't done will be all the dates of when the new squares will be released. And that will help you because sometimes, depending on what happens in that month, it will be either the 3rd or the 4th Monday. And it also depends on if the month has 4 or 5 weeks. All right. I get a lot of questions about that, and all the information is right there for you, but I don't mind answering the questions also. But yeah, that's how you find out about our Grantastic Crochet Along. And I'm having a blast with this because what happens when I do something like this, I get to do something I haven't done in a while, and it's almost like I get to get an updated version and learn how to do it all over again. Even though I know how to do it, it's never, ever bad to practice. And do you know, someone said to me the other day, oh, you're a crochet expert. And I said, no, I'm not. I still learn something new almost every time I do a new pattern. I'm always trying to come up with new techniques, new styles, and new fun things to do. And then when I come up with that, I want to teach you guys how to do it because I know you all love yarn and crochet as much as I do. All right, so that's fun, right? All right, now I see some of you are clinking in just a little bit late, and that's okay. If, one thing you need to remember is these videos are on Facebook on the Posh Pooch Designs page. You can share them on your page. You can share them wherever you want to, and you can watch them whenever you want to as well. And then also, after we're done with our live video here on Posh Pooch Designs Facebook page, I tweak it up a little bit, add a little silliness to it. And then I shoot it over to my YouTube channel. So never worry that you've missed a video. I get it all the time. Oh no, I missed it. I was late or whatever. It's okay. We all have lives. We all have things going on. We all have work and doctor's appointments and children involved in things, and school's getting ready to start. So that means school shopping. So we are busy people. So never worry that you're going to miss a video. It's always on Facebook and it'll be on YouTube. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you today. And like I said, if you missed the beginning, you can always watch it later. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my videos. You all are the best friends a crochet designer can have. And like I always say, I can't do what I do without you and your support. Have a wonderful week. Try not to sweat too bad this week because I hear it's going to be a hot one. We'll see you next week.